Hello, welcome to my channel. Jim Reads Too Slow. I'm Jim, and this is my wrap-up for week 2 of February Fantasy Stories. Now, this is a month-long event organized by the Bookish Bryants for reading short fantasy fiction. So far, I'm having a great time. I'm reading stories by authors who I loved going in, and I've discovered new authors that I love and hope to continue reading. The theme for week 1 was classic fantasy. Now, that was any fantasy stories published before 1971. The theme for this past week, week 2, was swords and sorcery, although the stories that I read this past week also would fit into the classic category. I read 8 stories, all written by Robert E. Howard, who was the creator of Conan, Solomon Kane, and many other characters. He wrote in several genres, and all the stories that I was able to find, I found online for free, which I'm thankful for because these stories were great, and I probably wouldn't have read them otherwise. They're easy to read, they're exciting, and you just can't ask for any more than that. Let's see. Most of the stories I read were first published in the pulp magazines in the 1920s and 30s, particularly weird stories. But since then, they've been reprinted in a lot of different formats, anthologies, standalone books, and many other different forms. I started with The Phoenix on the Sword. This was the story that introduced Conan, Conan the Cimmerian, in December of 1932. We first see Conan as a king, and instead of the sword in his hand, he's holding a pen. He's drawing a map. So knowing what we think we know about Conan going into this story, we ask ourselves, has Conan been tamed? Is he too old to fight? Whatever. And the answer is no. He's still just as able to cleave skulls and confound wizardry with the best of them. Then I read The Scarlet Citadel from January of 1933. Conan is betrayed and his army is wiped out. He is then imprisoned in the dark dungeon of an evil sorcerer. There he meets and saves another sorcerer who's being held captive, and the two go off to seek their revenge. Story number 3 was The Tower of the Elephant, published in March of 1933. We jump back in time a little bit in Conan's story, back in his career when he is a thief. He learns about this tower, this fabulous jewel that's supposed to be held there. Then he breaks into the tower. He finds and befriends a real-life elephant man from space who's being held captive there and tortured. And then he again confounds the evil machinations of a sorcerer. Number 4 was The Black Colossus. A beautiful princess, at the urging of a god, gives Conan command of her kingdom's army. Conan then defeats an evil sorcerer. This time, though, he gets the beautiful princess in the end. Number 5, Conan becomes a pirate and the lover of a pirate queen in Queen of the Black Coast. He fights enchanted creatures and a flying gorilla man before saying his final goodbyes to his queen, Viking style. The 6th story I read was Red Shadows, Howard's first Solomon Kane story. It was published in August of 1928. And Cain is a swashbuckling Puritan. He chases a diabolical gang leader and murderer across Europe and Africa to avenge the death of a young French girl. He kills the guy's entire band, and then finally succeeds in exacting his final revenge with the aid of a jealous witch doctor and a giant angry gorilla. Then it was back to Conan with Gods of the North, or The Frost Giant's Daughter, which was published in Fantasy Fan magazine in March of 1934. This, in terms of Conan's life, again, is the earliest of his published adventures. Following a battle that he alone survives, Conan meets a beautiful, naked young woman who taunts him into chasing her across the snow. Now, Conan's plans, if he catches her, are obvious, but her plans are to have her brothers kill Conan and present his steaming heart to their father, the Frost Giant. But we all know that Conan is better than that. The last story I read was Red Nails. Now, this was the last of the Conan stories written by Howard. It was published in 3 parts from July to October of 1936, immediately following Howard's suicide. Conan and Valeria are 2 pirates who find themselves wandering around inland, and they get caught up in a blood feud just in time to help both sides wipe each other out. Then they battle an evil immortal priestess and a crazy old sorcerer who everyone thought was long dead, but who actually has been wandering around in the catacombs in search of magic weapons. Like I said, these stories are a lot of fun. They are exciting, and you can't ask for much more. They're a little heavy on the evil sorcerers and scantily clad beautiful women, but I was able to roll with that. So if any of you have read any classic Conans, particularly for this month, any classic Conan stories, let me know how you liked them. I liked them a lot. The theme for the week coming up, week 3 then, is dark fantasy. And I think any of these stories that I read this past week would fit in that category. I could just continue reading them, but I am going to attempt to read book 1 in the Elric saga, Elric of Melniboné by Michael Moorcock. So that was my week. I'll make another video next week to let you know how that went, the upcoming week. And so until then, BookTube, thank you for watching.